We've been discussing the ARGOS X project for quite a number of years now. You can say, unfortunately, it hasn't materialized at all in any kind of specific projects anyway, but that hasn't stopped us at PDC-ARGOS from actually doing quite a lot of thinking, and actually also saying to ourselves, okay, if this is ever going to materialize, we actually better start trying to build what's in the first place is going to be a prototype, but we're actually going to develop it in a way that should make it relatively easy for us to change that prototype into the start of something that can actually be an operational system. So to give you an idea about what we've been thinking, now I need to activate this guy as well, come on, like that. DEMA asked us to do a study, you can say, based on a number of requirements from them, and coming back with some suggestions on some design suggestions. So what we did was it back in spring 2014, I think, was it? We delivered that report to DEMA, and what we were thinking about back then was something that looked a bit like this. You know, this is where you start up, then you either select a number of templates or you select a set of predefined scenarios, or what we could call active operational scenarios, etc. Will the general idea of primarily being able to show several different dynamic layers on the map at the same time. Shoot. Why is... Sorry. I can see that for some strange reason, which I'm not... Come on. What's happening? Sorry, we have maybe I can do it like this.
Is it showing the virtual machine?
No, it's not. We should just they should just see the damn presentation I'm doing. Sorry, pardon my French. Boom, boom, boom. Which is not showing up. I mean, it's just going like that, regardless of. Maybe if I go, it's something has frozen here.
Could you turn screen sharing off and turn it back on?
Oh yeah, maybe I can do that.
Is it just that stop button?
Sorry, where?
Isn't there a stop or a pause? This.
Ah.
Can you try that? Maybe.
Can try stop it. Ah, shoot.
That's probably why here.
Yeah, I can't even do
it has
anything about that. Come on.
I have to get him to join again.
Yeah. So how do you Damn, how do we put it back on?
Maybe.
Shoot.
You closed it.
Apparently now it's gone.
Maybe there's one of these. What's that one? Video. Screen share. I think you're gonna have to start it again.
Are you able to, can you shoot, how do you do that without making, and then I have to do a new meeting, Preston. Sorry, calling in for a meeting and stuff like that.
That's probably true.
Damned. Shit. Okay, I don't know, we're not capable of dealing with that right now. So, sorry guys in Australia and in Latvia, I'm not able to get back to sharing the screen with you guys. What we were, one of the major things was that you should be able to show several different dynamic layers on the map at the same time. Not only as you can do today with ARGOS, where you can see a plume combined with meteorological stuff or things like that, but that you should be able to see several different plumes, a plume combined with measurement data, whatever you'd like in there. And as well that you could define things in separated scenarios, so you can make a specific scenario where you can say save a number of different results that are only relevant for that particular scenario. And so the original suggestion from that design paper was a Windows application, a full client-server solution, and data should follow the user, not the client. From there, things have evolved a tad bit. We have changed to look at developing a web application. Still client-server, still coming from the web application, that data follows the user, not the client. One of the things, of course, that probably needs to be taken more care of in case of a project with some of you guys on something that should be operational, is how to deal with standalone installations. Nothing we've done so far, you can say, is actually going to make that an impossible task. In principle, you can always just install your Internet Information Server on a local laptop and run it from there. But we might be able to come up with more clever solutions than that. What are we going to do with our prototype in the near future? We're going to consider chemical scenarios as well. What we have right now is strictly nuclear. We're going to add the possibility of actually requesting runs from in there. Once we've done that, we would actually like to put a prototype online for you guys to test. So we're going to set it up for automatic download of nomads covering Europe ++ or something like that, and actually giving you guys the options of trying to fool around with that. Of course, not only because we are nice guys, but also because, of course, we then expect to get some decent feedback from you guys on what's working, what's not working, what would you like to see in there, what's in there that you actually don't like to see, stuff like that. And of course, as this is just a prototype we're doing right now, you can say developing for our own resources, it might not be that we would just because you're going to say, I'd like to see, I don't know what, URD and 3D showing of plumes in there or something like that. It might be that we're not just going to do it, but of course we'd like to put it on a list of things that could be nice to have inside there. So let's move on to actually do a demo of what it is we have. Let's see, I need to find the right browser. So this is how it looks right now. Sorry for the little hiccups over here. we've just one of the things we've realized will really looking into to dealing with a web application is the curse of different browsers. So one of the things that we are going to do currently, we are limiting ourselves to Firefox, to Google Chrome, and to Internet Explorer version 11. Of course, in case somebody comes and say, okay, let's set up a project or are coming with a request for through a tender or something like that, where you have specific requests for specific browser versions, we're of course are going to deal with that. But currently, we're trying to get something that's working reasonably within those three browsers, which is actually a large enough task to deal with, unfortunately. You recognize the idea about having templates, having different active scenarios. The stuff up here is actually just there. It's not active right now. What is active is we have 4 different demo scenarios down here, and you can also opt to actually just click on the latest used scenario in here. So you get to something that looks currently a bit like this. We have a scenario where you have 4 different runs. They are currently fed from our schedule run system. So you would have the exact same release scenario just for a number of different release times. A bit like you used to see. You click on your run and you get more or less what's similar to the Rimpov output tree, just produced as a list in this case. Instead, you select the result you want to see, you get it down here. One of the things I'd like to have just for this demo, it's not going to be situated like that forever, is of course nice little thing. Come on, did I click it? Maybe not. That you can actually zoom to the area of interest, of course. You'd see we have a working time slider as well for different integration times. In this case, you have a legend showing off. You can put in usual stuff about logarithmic linear. You can put in auto scale as well. One thing we did put in as well, which is always very nice to be able to do, is you hover your mouse and you can actually get the actual isodose reading out here. One of the differences you see in this prototype from what you are used to in ARGOS 9 is that what you see down here is the real number from the produced raw output from either Rimpov or the dose calculation. What you see in ARGOS is actually an interpolated value based on the interpolation being used for producing the colors in the plume. This instead is the real figures from the result files. Huh?
That's an improvement.
We find that to be an improvement anyway. So yeah. We can change. We can see something else.
Yeah,
we can.
just a question.
Yeah.
About that. When you then are producing isocurves,
Yeah.
are they using the one or the other?
We haven't.
Beside this?
Isocurves is a list on my whiteboard for discussion right now. So any inputs on that are more than welcome as well on whether that should be based on the coloring you're seeing or the actual values from the result files, for sure. Let's take a look at the deposition on ground instead. Change that. up until now, you can say everything has actually been working the way you're used to seeing it inside Argos 9 as well. We can change to take a look at one of the other, an air concentration or something like that from one of the other calculations, if I were capable of using my mouse. Now, one of the things that we've been discussing and could be really, really nice to have somehow is the option of looking at several different outputs at the same time. So let's, if you go back here, take a look at how the total effective dose looks like. Nasty bugger, this one. Then this time around, I will go down here, and I will, if I clicked correctly, lock the output. I go back. I take another calculation. I take a look at the total effective dose of that guy instead, and you will see now we have now two blues superimposed on the same map instead. I can then lock this guy as well. We can change which one should be on top. If you put in different, I don't know what, probably not that interesting in, but just to showcase what's going on, we could superimpose that with a deposition on ground as well. Here, and you would notice over here right now we're looking at becquerel per square meter. If I then get this total effective dose on top, you change that to sievert as well. So general idea is that this guy down here, you can say, should be able to handle any kind of dynamic layer that you would like to put on to your map. That could be puffs, that could just that could be a wind field, that could be just getting an idea about the boundaries of the boundaries of your Hirlom files. It could be measurements, it could be an FDM calculation, it could be an Ermin calculation. I mean, whatever you can produce or import into the system, you can put it up here, and you can say keep it on you can keep it on the map, regardless of what else you're actually choosing to do from there. That's probably one of the biggest fundamental changes from what you're seeing in the existing Argos 9. One of the things that's not going on right now is that you probably noticed that if we find the deposition guy again, here is that if I go further looking at how the deposition looks like, the other output you're seeing up here is actually just a static snapshot right now. One of the things, if that's something that's going to be interested, is actually being able to add another column down here where you say synchronize. But of course, very tempting to have as well, but probably something I think that needs quite some consideration and quite some discussion with some of you guys about, okay, how do we deal with that when the atmospheric dispersion output has time steps like this, whereas I'm comparing that to some measurements that are one here, another one here, another one over there. I mean, how do we actually synchronize those different time-dependent outputs? We actually have it already today in Argos 9, in the sense that we are actually synchronizing with meteorological data, but we are doing it in the way that we're just saying, okay, the raw information from the NWP file we have at the start of of whatever time period that file is covering is what we are showing, as long as we are showing something within that time period from our atmospheric dispersion as well. And that's probably also fairly valid, you can say, but if you're comparing that with measurements, then it could be an issue that maybe the closest measurement you actually have, you can say, in the past might be 3 weeks old, but then you have another one, you can say, just on the other side of your atmospheric dispersion calculation that might only be, you can say, 3 hours younger or something like that. Then it's a question about, okay, which one do you actually take? Do you try to make some kind of interpolation between those two? How are you actually dealing with that? I think that needs quite some consideration before we actually start implementing stuff in there. In the first place, as I said, we're going to make this one alive for chemical scenarios as well. I think it's going to be a feature on a scenario, or sorry, it's going to be a feature for the specific user, whether he can see both chemical and nuclear scenarios, or just one of those, so that we still can make a setup where strictly nuclear users is not necessarily needing to waste their time on chemical stuff. Yeah, what can I say? We have a couple of those different options as well in here. One of the things we are not capable of doing yet, unfortunately, is actually to produce new scenarios. That's probably something we're going to take a closer look at as well when we are providing a feature for you guys to actually be able to produce your own requests in there. So one more thing. This one is we are developing it as a web application right now. That also means that we are primarily considering that you are still sitting on a laptop with a reasonable computer. But in principle, of course, you could go into the same to launch the same web application from a tablet, in principle from your smartphone as well. And we have been saying to ourselves, okay, I mean, at least let's consider the option of utilizing to show different kinds of outputs on a tablet as well. But it's not right now. It's not our intention. Is not to develop something, you can say, that is purpose made for that as well. But we have been considering stuff like that. Let's say that that this here was actually come on, get down here, zoom in a tad bit more, bit like this maybe, that you can optimize viewing your screen so that you can actually remove all the more or less unnecessary stuff in there, so that you can concentrate the entire screen on actually on seeing your plume, on seeing your intervention levels based on a set of ISO curves or stuff like that. Yes, Lars?
You can also click up in the right corner as a full screen button.
Ah, this guy here. Okay, yeah. So I don't know if you were capable of getting to that guy on a tablet, but at least, I mean, that's one of the considerations we've been having. It might be that one we could consider that that these guys here might actually be more sorry, what's the word for it?
Adaptable.
Nej, ja, det var faktisk gennemsigtigt, hvad det hedder. Thank you. That these guys here might actually be set up so that they could be quite transparent as well, because another thing we've always been discussing as well inside ARGOS is actually exporting different kinds of results and then having all the necessary information on what is it actually then you're seeing in here. What are, I mean, what kind of integration time are we talking about? What kind of nuclei, what age group, which kind of sheltering, stuff like that is actually in there. It's always that's one of the issues, at least I've been hearing a lot when going around watching, especially at exercises, people are actually using Argos and then producing outputs from Argos that should be presented to other people to have all the necessary information as well. Where you can say some of the later projects that's just been coming around from you guys and CFA as well, where we also add additional information in the shapefile export is you can say is part of that. I think I've used all my time. Any questions, comments? Yes, Jan?
You said that you have used some data used by your Argos with web to make the plots here.
Yeah.
Could the templates be made from Argos web? Then it would be relatively simple to.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
I think that would probably.
You cannot produce fully templates by Argos web as it is now.
No, that's right.
You can move.
Yeah.
Some source term that is already defined
Yeah.
in our place.
That might be that that could be the very first way of requesting runs from in here. I mean, because apart from the client side, we are utilizing as much as possible of the current back office, you can call it, inside Argos Web. So we're utilizing the monitor service, the Argos W database, the forecast application, and stuff like that. It's at least that's our intention. You can say for the time being that's how our backend is going to continue to be used. Which should also then make it for that you will in the same place where you can do your normal ad hoc calculations, your normal use of Argos. It would just be another screen, you can say, where you can set up your batch calculations, your batch criteria and stuff like that. So you would actually all do the same in the same web client, but of course doing that in different parts of the application instead. Okay.
So are all the results, they're stored in the database and it just renders it on the fly? Or what?
Currently they are installed in a database. One of the things we've been considering for performance options is actually that when you request a new RIMPROF calculation, you provide a new you can say a new directory on the server where you're doing the RIMPROF runs and are doing them, you can say, on the spot there, because right now, both in Argos 9 and in the forecast application, we are unfortunately doing a lot of moving and copying and switching around of results, including in this case taking them from the RIMPROF output directory and putting them into the database in order just to get them out of the database again. I think we will look into to if we can actually if there are quite some steps there that we could just jump in order to get some better performance by that. And then you can say simply using the database as the one where you have then structured, okay, which runs are then associated with which scenarios and which users, etc. Whereas the actual results will just then reside in a long list of directories on the server, and the database then knows which directories to pinpoint.
The database is just for indexing.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Or even maybe it stays on the local server until you hit the save, like you hit the save now, then the save puts it in the database or something.
Yeah,
or you delete it otherwise.
Yeah, we've been
we don't
considering.
want to keep everything, do we?
No, of course not. one of the things,
But
of course,
that's-
we've
yeah.
then been discussing with is okay. Then you go in here, you crest something like that. As soon as you leave the scenario again, then that those results you have produced during your session without saving them, they should of course just
Yeah.
be discarded, so that
Yeah.
you can clean up as well in your system. Okay. Thank you.
That's good.